Greetings, everyone. Welcome. Joe Soto here, founder of the Joe Soto Project, where we help individual investors and their families, right, navigate the financial services industry, understand Wall Street, so they can make the best decisions to protect themselves and their family. Now, today I got a very unique special treat for you, okay? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about hiring a financial advisor? And maybe you wondered, where do I go? Do I Google this? Do I ask some friends? Do you have any idea what to expect if you're looking to hire professional help, with your finances, with your money, right? Because you want to plan for yourself, you want to plan for your family. Have you ever wondered, like, okay, so what's next? Well, where do we go from here? What to expect? I mean, listen, I'll tell you like this, right? I've had the same question too as a financial advisor. Okay, I'm a financial planner. Financial advisor, has been in the industry now for well over a decade. I work with some of the top Wall Street firms, and today, I run my own independent fiduciary-based business. But what in the world does independent fiduciary-based business means, right? Look, I asked myself the same question. So when I first got into the industry, I didn't really know, what was the best place to work. Okay. Like there's so many options, right? You got the banks, you got the wirehouses, the Merrill Lynches, the Morgan Stanleys, the Chase Banks, the Wells Fargos. Then you got, Ameriprise, you got Raymond James, you got Charles Schwab. You got places where you can go and do stuff online through Vanguard. You got all these different places, right, that you can actually go and get some help. And as a financial advisor, I asked myself the same question. And I'll tell you, when I first got into the industry, I was looking for the best training program, the best, coaching program. So, and I just signed up for whoever was willing to train me at the beginning. And I can totally relate to my friends and family members that come to me and ask me questions about maybe, a friend of theirs, or even themselves. They're looking to hire somebody, a professional, or a financial advisor, and they're wondering, right? So Joe, what's the difference between this and that? What do I get if I go here? What do I get if I go there? And I had the same questions, and when more time that I spent in the industry, the more that it became a pressing topic for me to try to understand where was the best place for me to serve my clients. Now, after spending well over a decade in building a business at one of the world's largest banks, okay, definitely one of the largest banks in the United States, and establishing myself as a private client financial advisor, I decided to actually leave that firm to other pastures, what I thought would be greener pastures, to better serve my clients, right? And it didn't turn out that way, okay? And I think a lot of times, when I meet people that are changing financial advisors, oftentimes I kind of hear that same story, right? I hear that story like, well, Joe, I signed up for this. Maybe they signed up on an online platform and they thought that, that online platform was going to be less expensive, or maybe they signed up for a firm that, overpromised and underdelivered in terms of what they could do. Or maybe they got even taken advantage of. They got taken advantage of by the financial professional that they signed up with. I'm telling you, over the years, I've pretty much heard all of these different things. So after spending well over a decade at one of these banks, I moved to another bank. And I'll tell you, that was one of the most challenging, most difficult times in my career, because I sincerely thought my career was over, because once I got there, the firm, I found this out later, they were in the process of being sold to another bank. And oftentimes, us financial advisors, financial planners, we get ourselves caught up in corporate bureaucracy, and there's very little that one can do as a small soldier in the front lines to dictate what we can do to better protect and serve our clients. So now, today I run a boutique style firm, a family office practice, right, where I essentially turn the cards on Wall Street. Now they work for me, right? So essentially I pay the major custodians who hold my clients' assets, and they do a service for me, and I pay them to do a service for me as opposed to being an employee. Okay. And where I am today, I'm considered what they call a fiduciary financial advisor. I believe less than 2% of all financial advisors in the country actually fall under this category. And a fiduciary, by definition, means that I have a legal obligation to do what's in your best interest. So why is it that not everybody works as a fiduciary? Okay, why is it that not all financial advisors align themselves in a way where they can better serve the interest of where it's a legal obligation to serve the best interest of their clients? Common sense will tell you, right, that all financial advisors will want to align themselves in that way, right? Unfortunately, that is not the case. And I will tell you that it's not necessarily the financial advisor's fault. You know, for me, it was a true crucible to get to this side, to be able to open up my own firm, to be able to kind of dictate the standards of how I wanted to serve my clients. And it's a lot, it's a much lower risk, right? When you're sitting at one of these buildings or one of these banks, and you got clients walking in, you don't have to do much marketing. And, you know, for a lot of financial advisors, they're afraid to come on this side, okay? Even though it's best for the client. So I understand their challenges, but fortunately for me, you know, when I thought my career was over, well over 90% of my clients, they said, look, Joe, the fact that you told us that you made a mistake, the fact that you told us that, you know, how the industry works and how it's set up, because I was really prepared to walk away, right? My clients said, look, Joe, we'll follow you. Actually, it was my clients who encouraged me to open up my own firm. When one client after another client after another client started telling me, look, Joe, why don't you just open up your own shop? Let's go somewhere. So they were like on my team, right? Let's go put our tent somewhere where, you know, people don't have a you know, conflicted interest about keeping our tent up, so to speak. So, you know, I wouldn't even be able to carry this message to you today if it wasn't because I have some of the greatest clients in the world. I mean, I sincerely look at them as my extended family. And if you're one of my clients watching this today, I just want to say thank you. I love you. Sincerely, I do, because we've been through a lot. And, you know what I've been through. So I thank you for being, you know, the wind behind my sails and being on this journey with us today. Today, Joe Soto gets to carry the message of education around Wall Street and the financial services industry, so we can help you. You know, maybe you're not my client, right? And you're listening to this, and you'll find this information incredibly valuable. So here's what I want to share with you today, right? So when I used to work at the big banks, right, I remember one time I had a lady. She came in. She was probably in her mid-70s, and she asked me a question. She said, Joe, you're recommending this product to me, but she asked me two questions. She goes, how do I know, and kudos to this lady, okay? This was well over a decade ago. She knew more than I knew back then, okay? She said, how do I know that this product that you're recommending to me it's designed to benefit me, not you? Now, that was a very powerful question. Now, what I was recommending to her was in her best interest. And then right after that, she asked me, Joe, do you have a legal obligation to act in my best interest? Are you a fiduciary? And it was one of the first times that I was introduced to this idea of being a fiduciary. Actually, I had to go back, do some research, talk to my bosses at the time, and say, well, what is this, right? Why is this lady asking me this? And you know, I was really green. You know, I didn't really understand that there were all these different models, and really like the ultra affluent, you know, they all work with the fiduciary. It's just that a big bulk of the population, they oftentimes end up working with folks that are, you know, the majority of financial advisors are great financial advisors, but unfortunately, a lot of times they're in the wrong model, which unfortunately opens up the possibilities of you ending up in a situation where things may happen, right? You may be taken advantage of. So what I want to talk to you about today is, you know, kind of, okay, you know, what things, you know, so back in those old models, you know, I wasn't a fiduciary. I was still trying to operate and working in my client's best interest, but I couldn't tell my client that. So let me give you an illustration here on this notepad so you can have an idea of what a consumer can face when they walk into the industry. So let's just say, and by the way, I'm not an artist or anything like that, so I'm going to do the best I can to do some drawings here. Let's say you got, John, right, and Mary. Okay, so give Mary some long hair here, and maybe they got, two kids, Sue and I don't know, we'll say Mike. Got two kids, right? Maybe these kids are 8 years and 10 years, right? And then John and Mary, got the Mary here. It might be, I don't know, it could be anywhere between, so let's just say between 40 here and she's 45. My wife is a little bit older than me. So they're walking to the industry, okay? And then they're going to enter now the world of Wall Street, okay? And they're looking for what? They're looking for help with their money, okay? So here you have a family of people that are walking into the industry, and they maybe have accumulated some assets, maybe the retirement accounts have grown to a certain point, and they recognize that it's overwhelming, okay? And kudos for them. A lot of times people come to me that it's too late, right? And when they come to me too late, they say, Joe, I need to do all these backflips from, forward and backwards, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to do it in 4.5 years. Tough. The sooner that people can seek the help of a financial planner, the sooner that they can get a financial plan in place, the better. So they walk into the industry, and this is likely what they're going to enter when they walk into the industry, into Wall Street, right? So you're going to run into, and these are not in order of priority, but this is some of the things that you'll run into. Insurance professionals. Sorry. Insurance professionals. They have, banks. Warehouses. Warehouses are usually here, so like Lynch, Morgan Stanley, UBS, etc. Then you got independent. You got you can even throw a 6-star business. And you got 7. We got there's just a ton of stuff. All sorts of different out there as well. Okay, so here's what I want you to take away from this. So at the end of the day, all of these people 1 through 7, and by all means, they're not all included in there. They can use the word in. So this presents a unique problem for consumers, because a lot of times, people don't know, exactly, okay, you just assume that person is qualified. This is a little confusing in the sense that, you may walk into a big building, or, somebody invites you over to the person's home, and they look affluent, they look wealthy. And then you just assume like, well, this person, must be well-to-do. They must be great. They must be great at what they do. A lot of times when people take advantage of, they fall for these traps. Okay. And what I want you to do is when you're looking for the help of a financial advisor or a planner, okay, it's super important that you understand the regulatory bodies that actually, that actually, what do you call it? The regulatory bodies that supervise true financial advisors. Now, when I say true, let me show you what I mean by true. By true, I mean these are people, true financial advisors, that actually have and you practice. You practice. Okay, that's the first step. So the regulatory bodies, the key regulatory bodies in the industry are going to they regulate the SA. Again, high level here for individuals who are looking to looking to hire help, right? Now, here's when it starts to get really muddy, so to speak. Now, in this world of FINRA and the SEC, brokers and registered investment advisors, now we start looking at, how do they practice? Okay, how do they practice? Again, we talked about practice. How do they practice? Or advice? Okay. Now, under the umbrella of FINRA, let's see if I can go here. You have and you have officers. Now, what is a fiduciary? So, I heard a guy talk about this on a video not too long ago, and he said, "Look, if you go to a butcher, okay, and you go to a butcher and he's going to sell you some meat. He sells meat. The butcher is going to tell you, look, I got all this great meat. Buy as much meat as you possibly can for me. Okay? Because he is in the business of selling meat. Okay? Duly registered advisors often represent, sure what's going on here with my screen, big name firms. Okay? Now, sure what's happening here with my screen. Big name firms. Now, this puts the financial down here. My screen. I'll open it back up once I do. Oh no! There you go. Right. So this puts the financial advisor in a predicament, because if he is working for one of these big firms, well, he may really love his clients. What do we say? Mary and John. Right? That walked in there. But he's going to have to get to firm. My friends, that is the predicament that the bulk of the industry is caught up in. Okay? You may have a financial professional that you love and you respect and you trust. And like I said, the majority of them, they try to create games within this model to put the client first. I know a lot of great financial advisors that work in this model. A lot of them trying to get out too, but it's not easy. So this is the reason why when you go to one of these firms and you ask, are you a fiduciary? Like that lady told me over 10 years ago, I had to tell her, no, I am not. So what does that mean? I'm telling my client, no, ma'am, I am not a fiduciary. Why? Because the client's first interest cannot come first. Where's the best interest of that model? You got big firm, you got financial advisor, you got you. Whose interest gets served first? Well, you guessed it, right here. The big name firm. So I used to be one of those people. And trust me, there is a way that you can actually create an environment where you can serve the client's best interest. It's the road less traveled. There's quite a bit of hurdles to get there. Okay? You have to shut a lot of doors. You have to take a lot of people off. Your boss may not be happy sometimes with you because you're not selling the flavor of the day, the product of the day, whatever management is saying, because you're putting your clients first, and you have to protect your clients, kind of like a mother bear protects their cubs, and say, no, I am not doing that. Obviously, you start to get, I learned to be politically correct in these environments. I learned to navigate without, taking people off. And still, sometimes it's impossible to do that but that is the game that most financial advisors have to play. So these folks that work under these models are usually regulated by a combination of FINRA and the SEC, because what they do is they have two hats. One hat, they're a broker, and then in one hat, they are a registered investment advisor. So that means that sometimes the advice they give you is in your best interest and sometimes it's not. Because there's that sometimes variable, it's the reason why they can never say the client comes first. Got it? So then there's another model. Okay. Again, we got John, I'm sorry. And then we got Mary. Right? Now they walk into a fiduciary's office. And when you walk into my office, I'm a fiduciary. There is an oath that I have on my wall. Right out the gate, the rules of the game change. It cannot be misconstrued. The client comes first. In this model, here's me. My big cheeks, right? Joe, fiduciary. And in this model, I'll give you an example of my model. I have Raymond James, Schwab, Interactive Brokers, Ameritrade. And in this model, they essentially have a toolbox here. Okay, there's two sets of toolboxes. There's one for employees of these firms, and there are ones for fiduciaries. The toolbox for employees is going to be limited. By whom? By the firms that they represent. The firm is going to skew the products, the services to serve their best interest. And for fiduciaries, it's an open platform. That means that we have access to all the tools, and it's our responsibility to ensure that the tools that we use are in the client's best interest, because it's documented. It's in writing. Okay? You know what they say, right? When it comes to contracts, when it comes to paperwork, things like that, if it's not in writing, if the firm is not carrying themselves like that publicly, then that means it doesn't exist. The person can tell you whatever they want in the most efficient, the most eloquent verbiage in the dictionary. Oh, I'm looking out for your best interest. But guess what? Guess what? If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So here's what I would tell you. Okay? Some of the common mistakes that I see a lot of people make is that whenever a family member, a friend recommends them to someone, okay, they automatically assume that that person is competent and trustworthy. Mistake number one. Another mistake that I see is they assume because of the person's lifestyle that that person is successful. 9 out of 10 of the big Ponzi schemes, they fall in this category. Okay? Another mistake that people do, and we talked about this today, is not doing their due diligence and checking the backgrounds on these people. FINRA, they have a website. The SEC, they have a website. You can go on these websites and put my own name up there. You can pull up your own financials name on there. If that person has a history of complaints, if they got bankruptcies, if they got lawsuits, if they got criminal record, if they're still in the industry, it'll be documented in there. Okay? Now, it doesn't inoculate you against malpractice, but it'll be in there. Those are some of the key mistakes that I see people do. Now, here's the other part, okay? This is what I would tell you that you should do. You should hire a financial advisor regardless of the hurdles in the industry. Once you find a good financial advisor, it's like finding a good doctor, a good attorney, a good mechanic, okay? You'll develop a relationship that'll be for a lifetime, okay? A relationship of trust. Maybe there even be a friendship that evolves out of that. And it's somebody that you can trust and go to with all sorts of different problems, okay? And having a person like that on your team, it's crucial. It's super, super important. You should get a financial plan. I've learned this over the years, okay? Any monkey can actually take somebody's money and put it in investment. It takes skill. It takes practice. It takes knowledge to build a financial plan. So you should get a financial plan, okay? And last but not least, you should get started. Get started as soon as you possibly can, okay? If you have questions, about your current situation, whether you're deep into the game or just getting started, there's always the value of a second opinion, okay? So if you have questions about your situation, if I can help you, send me a private message, okay? You can send me a private message via whether you hear this on the podcast or whether you hear this on one of the social media platforms. Send me a private message. If I can help you, I will show you how we can do that. We normally have a 3-step process that we take our clients to. It's called Preservation Hall, and we build a preliminary financial plan free of charge for people so they can see where they're currently at. I don't like to invest people's money if they don't have a plan. That's like going to a doctor and getting a prescription, but you didn't do a physical. So do get a plan, do get a physical before you invest your money. First thing that you need to do today is simple. If you have a financial advisor, make sure you go check their background, guys. So many people, I hear about all these athletes that get taken advantage of, people in the entertainment industry. Look, there's a database at the SEC, at FINRA. Take advantage of it. Use it. Get some knowledge on what's going on. There's some major regulation coming out June 30th called Regulation Best Interest. It will have a significant impact on what happens in the industry. You should know about it, okay? Maybe I'll make a video about that next time. And the next thing that you should do is get started. If you don't have a financial professional that you're working with, get started on the research. Just do a little bit of research. Just like when you go buy, where's my phone? When you go buy a phone, I normally go in and I'll do some research. What's the difference between the Samsung Note and the iPhone? Okay. Well, this one's got this camera, this one's got this. Just do a little bit of research. You got a nice framework that I'm giving you here today to get started. But get started. The sooner you get started, the sooner that you can start getting some help, the better health you're going to be. Just like a doctor, right? You hear that people in other countries, right, that are in deep poverty, their lifespans are shorter because oftentimes they don't see a doctor until they're well in their mid-20s or 30s because they don't have access. Today, there is access. And if you have questions, do your preliminary research first. Or if you have questions, send them over to me, okay? Go to my blog, joesotoproject.com. You can send them to me via the podcast, Joe Soto Project on Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Or send me a private message, okay? I'm here to serve. Last, my friends, listen, I want to honor you. Give yourself a pat on the back. Look, we covered a lot of information here today. I would tell you that if I had to take an educated guess, 90% of the people that are investors today don't know what you know now. They don't know it. The game is not designed for you to know these rules. And I just gave you a huge playbook, my friends. And I want to honor you for staying all the way through and listening or watching this entire video today. I hope you got a lot out of it. Till next time, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode. See you soon, my friends.